I'm going to read a piece that Dimitri wrote. It's a dream, and it's dated on the 3rd of June, and it goes like this. I had a dream last night after I made the last post below about true self, very much a continuation of it. It was in the setting of giving a talk to a group of lawyers and teachers, faculty of law. The gist was, in lieu of teaching true sense of self at university, much based on the difference between and how we use consensus versus true democracy. The lawyers act it like a role in a movie, then after go home to have a cigar and a beer. I said the curriculum was learning the script, but do we really feel justice? Everybody kept quiet. This was just the gist of the dream, but it was a long speech. The painful truth is that without a true self, we become very much cartoon figures void of real reality. So that's the dream you wrote, but you note there yourself that there's much more to it.
Yes, it was really a long speech, and I was in a meeting with the faculty of law, and it was really on the day before a student published an article in the local paper, very much criticizing the same law faculty, about regarding different things, and that was weird because I once said that I seem to be doing my big work in the dreams, because I seem to be like in the dreams. I think I would call it the true self. That this is what my true self seems to be, if you wish, obsessed about or driven by, And so and more it's like gripping me, because I am like more and more, I think the word is concerned, very concerned about, there's so much corruption, and there's so much corruption, and the other day I was trying to like grasp it. It's the best image. The image that came up was that it's like a cancer. It's very hard to grab, before you know. So like it's like in it's because it's so hard to grab or to stop or to visualize, to quantify, because it's so subtle and it's still so omnipresent. And but more and more I'm like becoming very focused. I'm focusing on that in my dreams. And so in this dream, the gist of it was that, so what we're getting at law faculties is, this is all over, I think all over the world, is that we're not teaching students how to feel justice in themselves. It's more like teaching them how to administer the law and to play with the law. I call it play with laws. Like there's a nice, it's like one would call it the letter of the law, not the geest. The spirit is the gist. The geest is the gist. So meaning is that spirit, and we have totally gone away from meaning. Education as a search for meaning, it's just lost. And now we're like, now reading has come down to like speed reading on Aruba. The kids they call it the speed reading, which is like the complete defeating of the point of meaning. It's no more comprehensive. It's so then you get the letter of the law would be that for instance, you would say, I didn't tell a lie. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell the truth. But that's the way the lawyers play the game. Now it's looking for loopholes and looking for I didn't lie, I just didn't tell the truth. Or I didn't, for instance, I didn't say that I stole something. I just forgot to tell you it or something like that, you know.
Took it for a while.
Right, you know, I just took it for a while, or I didn't say I went out with someone, you know, else. I just said I went out, you know, and whatever, you know. This is so. There's this. The we're not teaching what the law feels. How does justice feel? The feeling of justice. We're teaching this letter of the law. It's just like we're at the school, middle school, we're teaching, and the elementary school, we're teaching to speed read, which is the letter of reading. So this whole system is somehow based on the letter. It's on the it has lost the meaning of things and the feeling, and then you get this a complete fake system. And so this is what I wanted to talk about today, because what you get then is you get this you get law faculties that are just teaching you, the curriculum has become a script that you need to act, you know, and then, but they're not teaching you what justice is, and to know what justice is, you have to feel it, and you have to look for it yourself. So this is what I wanted to talk about, because in my work, what I've found in my work of what it has boiled down to in my work with the shadow is that it all boils down to the shadow is like what we tend to conceal in ourselves, and the concealing is always in terms of opposites. And so what I found, for instance, is that in the dreams one is confronted with that problem of balance, which I would call justice. And Jung talked about this in terms of the compensation, the law of the compensation mechanism. To make a long story short, what I have been finding in my own work is that what this work is of listening to the shadow is really a kind of a justice. What I teach, it seems, is justice, is the feeling of justice, because what you get then is that, for instance, someone would be by day be in what I would call an extreme yang, which would be the extreme inflated side, and then you would get dreams that would make you fall, expose you to situations in which you would fall, and which would be like a way to bring you back into balance. And then by day you would have situations that would mimic, which would also do the same. And then when one works with this and one gets the feedback at night of this compensatory mechanism, slowly what really emerges from this is a kind of a feeling of what is justice or balance. And literally in the dreams, when you go off beat, you would get, for instance, a fine. A police would stop you and you would be fined, or, you know. So it's really, it's what I came, this, I think this is why I'm talking about this in my dream about this law faculty, is that it's really the what was it in the beginning called justice was this inner mechanism, which is literally written on in our atoms, if you wish, because your symptoms in your body and your dreams and the things that happen to you by day, they're all part of this feeling of balance, making you feel when you're off beat, and exposing you to the opposite, which is what we call the shadow, and trying to give you this. So when you do this work a lot, you develop a kind of a feeling for what's balance. And slowly but surely, this is what I think probably the dreams are saying, and my dreams are saying, is the feeling of justice. And the more we learn how to connect to the shadow, which is the opposite, which is like which is balance, the closer we get to the self. And so the point in the dream was in the dream I said that the dream was about that we're not teaching that sense of self with a capital S, which is balance, which is justice. And the only way to teach justice would be to teach this self process, because then you would find out, you start to get intimations of when you are offbeat. You see, and that being offbeat is the basis of all of these other problems of corruption. You know, you get yourself in all kinds of conflicts of interests, but you're not aware of it because you're not aware of the shadow and the way your shadow is trying to compensate you. You're not aware of all the different what I called in the beginning, what I said in the beginning was that you're not aware of how many little lies you're telling, because you're not lying. You know, you're just not telling the truth. That you're not aware of all of these, of how corrupted you are, how corrupt you are. You see, and then you get that the body is totally sick, and then the dreams are only nightmares, and you have not one decent relationship in your life. But you're not trained to feel justice, meaning in yourself to feel when you are off beat. And we are not teaching this. Education has become the letter of the law. And they're going more and more to the letter, which is what they call nowadays evidence-based education, which is really going to the speed reading and whatever you can measure. The only thing that exists is what is measurable.
Tests.
Tests and
Tests.
Yeah.
And a few more tests.
And the schools are just test clinics, and so the point is that in a society where there is no attention to the shadow and to this inner work, and to finding the feeling of that inner interplay, which is the balance, which is the way you are boycott by your shadow when you are offbeat, when you are conniving and manipulating and plotting and scheming, and then because you're in a society where that inner shadow that is going to boycott you and attack you at night is sedated. So this is why I'm more and more disturbed by how everything has become corrupted. Everything from sports. Sports is completely corrupted. Schools have sold out. Universities are law faculties are, as I said, educating kids to act the curriculum and play with the laws, and then you have economy faculties are sold out to companies, and medical schools are, the curriculum is basically what the pharmaceuticals want because they are paying. And then you have tourism, hospitality faculties are extensions of the big hotel chains, and it's just completely lost, while the university is supposed to be a temple for wisdom, Sophia, and the Sophia is the Lady Justice. And those two scales, that's the yin and the yang. That's that process that I am telling you, sharing here, and that is in us. In us, it's and this is the way you teach the feeling of justice, but it's not being. It's as a matter of fact, I think there's a very clear case to be made that the whole system is exactly against this. The system is really against this work with the shadow.
More and more, it's just only about matter, what you can see, and less people do not want to hear about that something is an illusion. They don't want to believe that they are doing a role, they're acting a play while they think they're getting some high education. And you can add some letters to your name, and the investment is about matter. It's not about seeing or feeling or understanding what is true justice. It's not about, and everybody that's like working in that area, like volunteerism and is charities, or those are all looked down at, and everybody is admiring matter and believing that that is true. Matter is true. Even physicians are walking away from their practices because they don't believe in it no more. They themselves say it's a broken down system. It's fixing things that are broken. It's not about prevention and letting things not happen before they materialize, because before that it's still an illusion.
Exactly, and this is why a system that is that does not know the true self. You see, when this work of the shadow and becoming aware of this inner justice system, the law is written on your heart kind of thing. This thing leads to the self, with what we know is called the self with a capital S, which is Atman. That self is in touch with true reality, and the fake self, which is like the self that is concealing the shadow, which is the self that wants the accolades and which is a self that looks externally to validate or accredit itself, and not internally. That's the fake self, and that self is caught in a complete illusion. And this is why this system is becoming the system, in absence of a true self, a true identity, is becoming more and more a cartoon. It's fake. People are seeing it. People are seeing that schools are fake, that it's all an act. People are seeing that the medical, as you said, the medical people are leaving their practice because they realize that they cannot cure people with this system of the drugs, of drugging people, of drugging nations into a kind of a twilight state in which they are easily manipulated. People are looking behind. People are starting to see that this is one big cartoon and that it's not real. And you get like Wendy's and using the word fresh. It's like, sorry. So it's all a lie. It's all fake, and it's because we are. So what we found is that when you do the work on the shadow, and when you confront yourself with the dreams, and the dreams are going to bring you down, and they're going to be very hard comments on your day behavior, just the false self identity. And then if you really struggle to integrate the shadow, then what we find is that we start to come close to the self with a capital S, and that's the self that is in touch with true reality. So it makes a lot of sense that a system that is almost, you could say, keeping us stuck in this limited state and away from the self with a capital S, which is the expanded state, which we know is a kind of a state beyond space and time. That a system like that would eventually become, one could almost say, one big reality show, because it's just one big TV station and everything is acted and scripted. And people are like, more and more people are saying that the president looks more like a reality show, the presidency, and it's all scripted. It's all Noam Chomsky talks about the manufacturing of consent. It's all a fake consensus. It's not a true democracy. And people are feeling this at some level, because no matter what we are, we do have this true self in us that does know what is fake. It's just that we've been like drugged away from it. You know, you're like, your body is giving you precious symptoms that you are offbeat, and then you go and you get drugs to basically drug yourself into a state that stops listening to yourself.
Yeah, that's a problem because people like enjoy this talk about the shadow and they love to see it somewhere out there. And the moment you start to say, "No, I'm talking about your shadow or my shadow," then it's like, okay, it's not funny no more. I don't want to hear about this. I like it that this guy falls flat on his face. It's interesting. I like this guy. Company is just going, broke. But when things happen to yourself, somehow we are blocked from believing that this could be true for you. Because you don't want to believe it's true for you. You want to believe it out there, but I guess you have cut off so much of your connection to yourself, to your source, that why would you believe in that could be true possibly? That your symptoms might say something about your state that you are in, or that your divorce could have something to do with your cancer, or if how you grew up would have anything to do with you being promiscuous, or that these things can linger on for decades and decades, and we have cut off so much from ourselves, and school have taught us so much out there that we don't know no more what's in there, and that's why we cannot relate to it. I can relate to it outside, and I would like to tell you about it, what your problem is and what you do wrong, but the moment that I'm going to tell myself, or I'm going to tell somebody that knows about things that he has a problem or she has a problem, then there's just a glitch, just a permanent glitch, because we cannot police ourselves. The police doesn't police themselves. The church doesn't, when something happens in the church and it comes out, they will say, okay, we will handle it. And nothing is heard of it no more, about abuse cases, and they will handle it and it disappears magically. I guess that's why all this magical stuff is just so interesting, because things appear and disappear just like that, and we don't ask questions, because energy flows, so it goes somewhere. Where does it go? But we cannot connect it to ourselves.
This is why I am here. I have to say this, and that is that the true justice system is in you, is in each and every one of us. The true justice system, and so this is people think that you need some, so the day of judgment is some judge that is going to come and judge over people. No, it's you are your own judge, and as you say, nobody wants to see it in themselves, but the truth is that it's you. There is a judge. You see, this is the thing. We are all part of this self, and the source is like a collective self. And already the self is like our only connection to reality, true reality.
If we only knew that, no?
No, but that's why, and I'm trying to say that because this is what I'm trying to say, and that is that in the core of your being, there is the self with a capital S, which is the judge. And there's a part of you that knows when you're lying or when you're conniving or when you're whatever, and the thing is not to judge, like the judge is not like judging to lock anybody up or anything, but it is that people need to understand the justice system, that is not laws made by Congress people that are bought by special interests. The justice system is a system of balance in yourself, in your soul, in your atoms, which is connected to a deeper level of truth. And so no one can escape that, and it's not like anyone gets to call that shot every night. This is what I want to maybe share, that I've been looking at for 20 years, that every night you go to sleep and you get like a verdict. You are judged and it's not a judging in the terms of penalizing as such. It's judging to help you, because you cannot reach to the self, which is this perfect balance, without seeing your shadow, without seeing how you're offbeat. And the word corrupted is the decay. It's I've written a piece about the Emerald City, which is the Emerald City stands for radioactive green, which is a decaying city. We have become this Emerald City because we are in decay. Decay is another word for corruption. And so yes, the everybody is sick because the body is decaying, because we are in decay, we are corrupted, and the medical people want to treat the symptoms and not the person. The person is corrupted, the person is anxious, and then the body shows that, and you cannot treat the symptom. That's just a part of this Disney World cartoon system that is totally out of touch with reality. And so yes, there is a justice system, and we need to teach each other how to feel it in yourself. You cannot know justice in a book as laws. That's just a caricature. It's a cartoon. And as you say, nobody wants to see this in themselves. Nobody wants to see that there is this. You see, this what we're talking about, this compensatory system, is in the East called karma. That's the law. That's like the law, divine law.
I think maybe it's a better word, because here in the West we kind of trap in the positive and negative, or you're either light or you're dark. But karma is just it's a kind of a nice neutral word, because you got these people that they think they're light and they're doing good, and but they have to also accept bad things, which is really not the case. What you mean with the shadow?
Yeah, the only problem with the word karma is that in the East it's also linked to reincarnation and all of that, but it's not in any way necessary to invoke that idea, but the idea is, if you were to really take it, separate it from that reincarnation idea, then it is the way to describe this mechanism that Jung found in the body, in your mind, and in the atoms. And we're seeing a system that cannot even pay for its health problems, because it's a system that is rotting. It is corrupted to the bone. And and the big danger is that a lot of people have stated this, is that perhaps it has been permitted to remain like this so that it would one day collapse in on its own footprint, and then it would be this collapse would then be used to usher in another system, which is what they call the New World Order, if you wish, and then like try to save us from this, what the Bible would call Babylon, which would be a system that is a system by the letter, based on complete materialism and totally sick. And then it would be used like the fact that it would fall to create a worse system. That does not take away that it's a very, very sick system, and we have to be very careful what we put in place of it, if we ever reach so far as to realize that it's that this paradigm is wrong. It's a paradigm that takes us away from the self.
But a New World Order would not change the paradigm.
No.
It's the same paradigm, but then really like in big global level.
Right. Well, exactly. It would just be more of the same, but then at a global level.
Worse.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that, so there is a lot of what you see some in terms of, for instance, the Occupy movements, is that they are controlled, and that
corrupted. They're trying to corrupt them,
and use them.
You're right.
to take down this the current system, and then put something in it, like the Pope called for a global central bank and stuff like that. So like saying that the federal banks are corrupted, so we need a global bank, you know. So that's a big danger, that in place of this system would become something worse, but then concealed as something to save this system. Like I've this video that is around called Thrive, that I've several people have sent it to me, and I've told them that this is exactly that, and that is that the idea of a talking about free energy and stuff like that, and then it's really based on the idea of this alien agenda, and trying to then say that, you know, there's some more advanced race that could bail us out of our mess. You know, it should be like the completely wrong scenario. It has to come from within, and it has to be a true a system based on the self, the true self, and you would not need this amount of laws and this amount of the control and what we're seeing now, if you were to have a system that would educate people to find true self. But that's the inner law, you know, that the true self is the inner law. And then the problem is that now it's really all fake, you know. It's a system that it's almost like it's constructing a kind of a virtual reality around itself, and just cutting itself off from nature and from reality. And this is why many people in the New Age circles correctly, and many dreams that I've been seeing, they talk about that kind of a mitosis is occurring, meaning a kind of a cell division, in which this it's a virtual reality, that it's become that virtual reality would just simply be split off of real reality, which would be then the earth that would evolve towards a higher state, you know, and that this fake reality would just be cut off of the real world. The problem is that the whole world is caught in it. You know, we call it the Matrix in movies.
The Matrix is that what you see out there is an illusion.
Well, the Matrix is the reality, the grid that we are caught in, which is space and time, which I call the limited reality. And when we are caught in this unawareness of the self and in rejection of the shadow, then you get caught in a kind of a world of dualities, mutually exclusive dualities, and which actually gets one caught in what is called the Cartesian coordinate system, which is like you get caught in a kind of a grid which is illusory. Yes, that's the whole thing. That's the illusion. The Matrix is that world where you are caught in first person, in total denial of your shadow, and disconnected from the true self. And then when we start to approximate true self by virtue of the shadow work, meaning which is what I'm calling today, becoming more and more feeling the justice, feeling the balance and the imbalance. Then when we reach the true self is plugged into true reality, which is now being depicted as the Garden of Eden. So we are not in real reality. We are really in a kind of a virtual reality with an option to connect to what we would call then the Garden of Eden, and that is true reality. So that would be true reality, and the self would be able, if one could call it like the Adam before the fall, the Adam and Eve before the fall. They are in touch with true reality, and we are like caught in a kind of a matrix, a virtual reality, because
But they didn't have self-awareness.
No, that's the whole thing. But that's seemingly the self-aware, the whole journey which you call the Euroboric ascent and descent and ascent. So this is the fall out of the garden and going back to it. The yield of that would be self-awareness. So they would have been living out of self with capital S, but not aware of it. And now we return to living out of capital S self, but now conscious. But
That's the price.
yes, but so we are
The goal.
so we are indeed not in true reality, and this is why all of the great spiritual traditions speak of that we are caught in an illusion. And this is why in my videos I talk about walking in endless space-time, meaning, and it's literally depicted in dreams as walking behind space-time, which would be behind the matrix. And in the endless space-time would be then the true matrix, what we would call the divine matrix, the sacred matrix, which is where everything would be on a higher frequency, and everything would be immediately connected to everything. And so, and what we are getting now is that those of us that are able to evolve in that feeling of this cis justice and in containing the shadow and connecting to true self, and there are clear benchmarks on this way, clear benchmarks, and those that connect to self with capital S, they are starting to re-enter the sacred earth, magical earth. And so it's not going to be, it's going to be in a very subtle way, because you're going to have people in the very same space, and some are already in endless space-time, and the other one is in limited space-time, and that will occur until these two realities, worlds, start to move apart. And so it's really not a matter of, it's more a matter of trying to get people to return to reality. It's not like, it's not like trying to even, it's not really trying to change the system that is now have truly a virtual reality. It's more like trying to get people out of her before that world is totally separated from the Mother Earth. But that's a little bit the picture. And this is, so today I'm just more and more, it's so almost everyone is and this is maybe just to end with, people would wonder why would then all of this fakery and injustice be permitted. But we need to do it ourselves, one, and two, a lot of the deceivers are deceived themselves. So there is a vested interest in keeping people caught in the matrix, in 3D, in this dualistic world where there is decay and aging and disease and all of that. But most of the deceivers, if you wish, that have us like caught in fear and in all of these things, fear of your own symptoms, and they are themselves deceived. So there's this twilight area, this gray area, where you cannot, it's not as simple as locking people up, if you wish, because up to the highest level of the pyramid, you're dealing with people that have been deceived and that are programmed themselves, and that are,
Because you come at the point that everybody has to do some self-work and see, what is my part in this? Because everybody's part of the system somehow.
the best way to say this is that we are doing this to ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not enough to blame some race that could be so-called behind the idea of keeping us caught in the matrix. It's And as I said, that there's even a great purpose to it. So it's not like we were caught. I don't experience it as like we were just
Once you said you got to know the lie before you get to know the truth.
right.
If you don't see it's a lie, how can you know what is
Yes.
the truth?
You see, so in a way, this is why all of this is permitted to exist, because in a way we needed to undergo this to really become aware of ourselves, to settle a major cosmic issue about free will, and
But that's really a major
yeah, this
cosmic
is
issue.
yeah,
Yes.
this is what you would call cosmic jurisprudence. This
Wow.
is this is the planet Earth is a test case for the whole universe. It's not like we were caught. We chose to undergo the cycle. Yes, many have gotten caught, but also there are very, very great beings that have returned to support the process of moving on. And even the what people refer to and what even Plato referred to as this ancient race, which would be then people call it the fallen angels. Even they are God's children, and they need to be also helped. And helping is means also also being judged is part of being helped. This is what I spoke about. What happens in your dreams? You need to judging means that you need to be held accountable. But so it's a incredible drama, and right now the whole issue is to get people to exit the limited state that we have been kept in, because we are now at the entrance of the portals back to what was called Eden, which is the real reality, which is not a reality where we are caught in our own projections, which is a reality where we are directly aware that we are the tree and that we are the water, and which is a completely telepathic, psychokinetic, higher, upgraded reality. And we are now at the entrance of these portals for those that are graduating from this process.